So there was an interesting post.
Wow.
Jessica Simpson posted something really beautiful.
And brave, too.
And brave.
She celebrated 4 years of sobriety. And she posted a photo and she quoted it. She called it this, an unrecognizable version of myself. So that was what she's saying. This is exactly where she was that many years ago.
Yeah, she said, this is what she shared. She said, the real work that needed to be done in my life was to actually accept failure, pain, brokenness, and self-sabotage. The drinking wasn't the issue. I was. I didn't love myself. I didn't respect my own power. Today, I do.
Yeah, often it's like the drinking and the rest of it is the thing that you're using to mask, just to make it all go away.
Yes.
Like, I just don't want to feel it. And sometimes, you wonder, because, I was just thinking, when I went through a difficult period, and it was a breakup and cancer at the same time, one of the things they offered was medication to get through.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that because, you don't want to be in pain. And I understand, I don't judge anybody who, everybody does their own thing. But I remember wondering even then, like, how do you know when it's over?
When
like,
the pain is over.
Right. How do you know? You just sort of, it numbs it until then you're back on the hamster wheel again kind of thing. And you wonder, like, at what point do you really get a chance to talk and deal with it? It's hard.
I remember she shared with you in an interview, Jessica did, about Halloween. And I'll never forget this. She said, she was at rock bottom. She didn't remember getting her kids dressed.
Just think about it. Didn't remember getting her kids dressed for Halloween.
She was in such pain that she was drinking to the extent that she didn't remember getting them dressed. And that, so when I saw that picture, I remember that conversation she had with you.
Yeah.
And then imagine what she felt that next day.
Oh my gosh. I know. And she talked about how painful that was. Also because Halloween meant a lot to her and her family.
Yeah.
That was what they waited for and celebrated, had the costumes ready. And then to imagine missing that. But she has obviously come on the other side of this.
Yes.
And when you think about being sober, being clear-headed, she's present with her children. Even if you just follow her on Instagram, you
see a difference.
You do. She is like, when I interviewed her, I remembered she was just like she was sparkly. You know when someone is with you all the way.
It's really interesting because I do think with alcoholism, there's a lot of shame.
Yeah.
Think about waking up and the shame of not remember getting your kids dressed, the shame of not missing out on those moments. So to be able to stop and say, I've drank too much.
Right.
And I'm covering the shame.
Yes.
And is really brave.
Really brave. And to go through all that rehab entails. It's not, often you just don't decide and then poof, the world gets brighter and happier.
It's
she's really, really brave. By the way, I was just thinking something. On my radio show yesterday, I had Lenny Kravitz on. And he said something that totally struck me, and it was so amazing. This is about learning who you are and standing in yourself and knowing what you should be about. So he said he was younger, his mom is black and his dad is Jewish, and he said he never felt like a rock star. He said, my name didn't feel like a rock star name. It was Lenny Kravitz. It didn't feel right. So he came up with a persona, and he called himself Romeo Blue, and he put blue contacts in, and he wanted, because his identity he was struggling with. So he had all these different personas through his career, but when he came up to like 19 years old, 20 years old, some record executives found him and said, we're going to make you into this boy band guy. So they did everything. He said he was ready to do it. They were going to go to Europe. They were going to tour. There was merchandise. Like, it was a whole thing they were launching. He said he walked in to sign the contract. There was an X there. He said he had his pen. He goes, I froze. He said, I couldn't do it. He said, I just couldn't do it. And I said, well, tell me about that moment. And he said, what I learned in that moment is everything that is offered to you isn't necessarily for you. So you have to hit pause in your life to know who you are. He toiled for 4 years after that. I wonder if he was just wondering about, I could have been in Europe, but he wasn't. And then he found his own lane.
Yes.
And I was just thinking about people like him, and even like Jessica Simpson, who say to themselves, now I finally know who I am. I'm not going to let you make me into this cookie cutter or this. When you came here, people tried to change you. When I came here, that's what people do. They're like, you know what? You got to be this, this, this. You have always, since I've known you, stuck to who you are. You don't say, you know exactly who you are. Your compass is like straight.
Well, it is, but you know what's so interesting is you see those two people. You see Lenny, you see Jessica, and I know from the outside, people are thinking they have everything. And when I imagine Lenny as a little boy, I imagine him as who he is now as a little kid.
Too.
Like a little rocker, age 4.
Yeah.
You don't imagine him struggling with his identity. It's so interesting.
And he said he didn't even think about his identity at all until he got to school. And people were like, that's weird. He's like, what's weird? He said, your mom's black and your dad's white. And he said, but that's just my mom and dad. Like, it did not dawn on him that they were.
Like, kids are born sure of themselves, and then the world breaks them down.
Right. Did you know, by the way, that Lenny Kravitz and Al Roker are cousins? Yeah, Lenny's mother's name is Roxy Roker.
What?
Roxy Roker, and she was on The Jeffersons. She played the role of one of the couples on The Jeffersons.
Yes.
Anyway, I learned that too. So there's lots to learn.
Okay, God. Can Lenny come by here?
Yeah, you know why? He was in the Bahamas. He did it by Zoom for me.
Okay, well, we'll do him by Zoom. It doesn't matter.
We will. He's really good.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.